but we liked this property, and we talked to the owners, and it was in an estate. It was owned by, they were spread all over the place. One of the great-granddaughters was still living, they were living there, but they were happy to sell it to the library because we told them what we wanted to do with the house, and that we would actually, one of the rooms in the house, use it for the Crouch family reading room, which would be like a meeting and programming room, but we would have their family history and the history of Woodneath in it. So anyway, it's on the National Registry of Historic Places, and we are working with the Landmarks Commission to maintain its historic designation. As you probably know, libraries aren't just book warehouses anymore. The Mid-Continent had a big building program in the 80s and early 90s, and primarily it was for books and children's programming, but of course the digital age changed everything for us. And yes, a lot of people still use libraries. In fact, more than ever, people are using libraries. During bad times, when our revenues are down, more people use it because you have to apply for a job, you have to apply online. People that are out of work often can't afford the expense of an internet system at home, and so they use the library. And many of them are coming in for the first time to use a computer. We do a lot more live programming. Our view is that programs are another media. Books are one way of sharing. A library is a place for information, and programming is one way of delivering that information also. So how do you not disturb people and that are studying but still want to have a program going on? Taking all of this into account, the board adopted a plan, what they call a destination library. And a destination library is a building that offers multiple reasons for a visit and is comfortable and diverse enough to make you want to come there and stay a while and do many different things. We've got some features. There you go. It's dedicated place for special programs. Spaces designed for specific groups of library patrons, like children's in one area, teens in another. Quiet rooms, smaller study rooms, so to provide the quiet area for study. A public meeting space. Those of you familiar with the Liberty Library, we have kind of an open room to keep the sound from going to the back, but there's no public meeting space. We envision a public meeting space in this area. Enhanced technology, including a computer lab, so we can have technology classes in this computer lab. There'll be a regular computer area, but there'll also be a special room for lab. Dedicated space for exhibits, food service of some type. That's people like to come and they like to have you go to Panera's and you see them on their laptops drinking coffee and stuff, and we'd like to provide that kind of atmosphere in an area also. Possibility of expanded hours, yeah, I guess when things get better here. But it was envisioned that a destination library would have some Sunday afternoon hours. So. And I guess that's it on that. It also we want to theme destination libraries, and to theme it, it's reflected in the decorations and exhibits, and kind of a museum-like quality where there's things for the kids to do, whatever that may be. Some special, it could be where you take a crayon and rub a piece of paper on top of something. If we theme it a farm or whatever, you could, like a pig or a cow or something. They're just some museum quality. I'm not the designer that we'd have experts do that kind of thing. Anyway, but the historic home, what we would use that for, at least the first floor, would be small meeting rooms or small programming rooms, maybe Santa Claus sitting in there and having kids. It wouldn't be the main entrance to the library as we see it, but it could be opened up for special occasions. And of course the Crouch family history room, which I spoke about already. Brad, did you want to say anything about how we're working with landmarks or before we can?
Just to give you a little background, I'm Brad Wolf. I'm part of the City Planning Department. I'm service staff to the Kansas City Landmarks Commission. Since this property is on the Kansas City Register of Historic Places, along with the National, all the exterior changes to the property have to be approved by the Commission. Basically what that means is we'll follow a certain set of standards set out by the Secretary of Interior and the National Park Service to ensure that we preserve the historic character of the property. In particular, and you might have noticed, we've had some preliminary meetings that you might have received notice if you live next to the property. We send out mailings to all the adjacent property owners when we actually do a review. And we also post it on the city website and agenda. So if you're ever curious of when a meeting comes up, just call our office, or if you're adjacent, you'll probably get a notice anyway. I said we've done some preliminary work with the library. They submitted some preliminary plans, but we have not gotten to the final decision yet. So we are still well in the planning stages, and they've been very good to work with. One thing about our historic standards, they don't require that the property never change. They basically say you identify the important historic character of the property, but you also allow it to be used for modern uses. So it's a balancing act. You try to allow it to change, but also preserve that historic character. And so I say we don't have rigid guidelines. It's basically a process of defining those spaces and defining how the new project will affect those spaces. So the architects and the library have been very good to work with. They've been very responsive so far. So I'd say just keep your ears open and feel free to come to the meetings or email in your comments at any time. We'll present them to the commission. Is there any questions specifically for me? I guess I could answer them right now if you're curious. Yes. It's the Kansas City Landmarks Commission. Mic up a little bit. So we're part of the City Planning Department, the staff is. Our main number, if you want to write it down, is 513-2902. Or you can all just call the City Action Center at any time at 311 and they'll route you to us. Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad. At this time, I'd like to ask our Jim Stufflebeam, or our architect, to come up and just show you what some of the preliminary plans are. Not, like he said, nothing's cast in stone. So.
Thank you. And just to give you a little background on our firm, SAP Design Associates. We're based in Springfield, Missouri, but we've had the good fortune to do work all over the state and all over the region, actually, and have done several libraries in the state. So we consider that sort of one of our specialties, if you will. We enjoy doing libraries and working with communities to create those kinds